Imagine your body as a magnificent mansion where the plumbing has been clogged for decades. You aren't aging because of time. You are slowly dying from the waste accumulating within you. Join me in discovering the secret to reviving life right now. Hello, my old friends. I am Dr. Ethan Marshall, a 60-year-old health expert from the United States. Imagine living in a splendid mansion, but for the past 60 years you haven't cleared the trash from the basement even once, leaving the filth to accumulate and the stench to creep into every bedroom. That is precisely the tragedy silently unfolding inside the bodies of millions right now. A brutal truth that modern medicine often overlooks while busily chasing tumors to remove or prescribing painkillers. Before we dissect this truth together, I hope you'll take a second to subscribe to the channel, like, and share this video. That small action from you will be a great motivation for me to continue producing quality content for the community. Now sit down and listen to me. We often console ourselves that fatigue, joint pain, or memory loss are inevitable laws of old age. But I affirm, as someone who has dedicated his life to studying life, that this is a disastrous misconception. Aging doesn't come from age. It comes from the burden of waste we carry within us. Professor Arnold Ehret, a forgotten genius, once proposed a definition that shook my medical thinking when he asserted that every disease, no matter what fancy name it's given in the medical dictionary, is essentially just a single obstruction. Picture your body as a complex system of pipes, from tiny blood capillaries to the long intestinal tract. And disease is when that system gets clogged solid by mucus, by excess residues from wrong meals accumulated over decades, especially the colon, which is likened to the sewage system of the body's temple. When this septic tank gets clogged, it not only retains waste, but also turns into a reactor producing toxins, seeping back into the bloodstream, poisoning every brain cell, every muscle fiber of yours, causing auto-intoxication that makes you always feel heavy, sluggish, and lifeless. That is why no matter how many supplements you take or how much you rest, you will never feel truly healthy until you clean out that accumulated pile of waste. After listening to what I've just shared, what do you think is the real root cause of our bodies aging and becoming diseased? A. Due to old age and unchangeable genetic factors. B. Due to obstruction in the body's pipe system by waste and toxins accumulated over many years. Please leave a comment A or B below so we can discuss. We have built an entire civilization on the foundation of wrong eating, and that is the biggest tragedy I want you to clearly realize right now. Look at what we put into our bodies every day. We call it nutrition, but in reality, those are the bricks building disease. From expensive pieces of animal meat to dairy products, refined starch, or sugar, all are foods of modern civilization, but completely alien to the biological design of the human body. When these things enter the digestive system, they are not fully metabolized, but leave behind a layer of sticky, mucus-like residue that Professor Arnold Ehret specifically called mucus. They plaster the intestinal walls, infiltrate every capillary, and turn your body from a flowing river of life into a stagnant swamp. This leads me to the greatest formula I have ever contemplated, a formula that redefines the entire concept of life and health, which is vitality V equals power P minus obstruction O. Etch this into your mind. Power P is the infinite energy source coming from breath, from atmospheric pressure operating the body machine. It is always abundant and available. However, vitality V, or the health you perceive, is increasingly depleted. Not because you lack energy, but because the obstruction O in your body is too great. That obstruction is the massive amount of mucus and toxins you have accumulated through thousands of wrong meals. They act as a brake holding back your biological machine, making you always feel heavy even without doing heavy work. The most disastrous mistake of modern humans is ignorance of this mechanism. When we busily seek drugs to suppress symptoms of pain, fever, or inflammation, we are actually committing a crime against ourselves. Because those symptoms are not the disease. They are the body's desperate attempt to expel waste to save itself. But we use drugs to block that purification process, forcing toxins back, burying them deeper into tissues and joints, to then accumulate into chronic, incurable diseases later. We don't die of old age. We are slowly dying from the very obstruction we created. A disastrous confusion between refueling energy and increasing the burden on the body. And that is a heartbreaking truth that few dare to face to change their health destiny. If we have bravely admitted that disease is obstruction by accumulated waste, then the only and most reasonable solution is not to load up on more medicine, but to conduct a major internal cleanup using the very miraculous tools Mother Nature has bestowed. In the journey to reclaim purity for the body's temple, we need to clearly understand the roles of three food groups that act as diligent sanitation workers. First and foremost is fresh fruit, especially juicy types like oranges, lemons, and grapes. In nature's pharmacopoeia, fruit is not merely food. They act as the most powerful solvents, containing pure water and organic acids, capable of penetrating every nook and cranny of the digestive system to soften, dissolve, and peel away layers of mucus that have hardened like mortar on the intestinal walls for decades. However, just dissolving waste is not enough. We need a tool to expel that mess before it can seep back into the blood. And that is where the role of the second food group, raw green leafy vegetables, appears. Like great magnetic brooms, the fibrous structure in lettuce, celery, or raw carrots will sweep away the residues softened by fruit. Stimulate intestinal peristalsis to work effectively to push all toxins down to the colon and expel them thoroughly. Finally, for weakened bodies or older people who cannot withstand the too rapid detoxification speed of raw foods, the third food group is non-starchy baked vegetables like pumpkin, sweet potato, or thoroughly baked beets, acting as a safety brake or transitional food. They provide a sense of fullness, warmth, and stability to the nervous system, helping to control the detoxification speed so the body doesn't fall into a crisis. At the same time, and most importantly, they provide nutrition without creating any new sticky mucus layers, creating conditions for the body to rest while continuing the purification process in the most durable and safe way. To complete this comprehensive healing picture, we cannot ignore decisive supportive therapies that I call nature's most powerful tools, in which rational fasting acts as a wise, knifeless surgery that creation has bestowed upon all species. When you stop putting solid food into your stomach, you are not starving the body as per the constant fear of modern humans, but in fact, you are activating an ancient survival mechanism where the entire massive energy source originally spent on laborious digestion is now concentrated fully on cleanup and elimination at the cellular level. Look at the animal world. When an animal is injured or sick, its first instinct is to fast so the body can heal itself. And we humans also possess that miraculous ability if we know how to use it correctly. However, this is where I need to warn you most seriously about a deadly mistake that many ignorant practitioners often make: fasting while forgetting to open the exit for waste. Imagine when tons of mucus, drug residues, and toxins from tissues, joints, and cells are loosened and poured into the colon. If they are not expelled immediately, this area will become a ticking time bomb, causing toxins to be reabsorbed back into the bloodstream and causing severe auto-intoxication with symptoms like severe headaches, rapid heartbeat, or extreme fatigue. For that reason, based on the extensive clinical experience of predecessors, I affirm that colon hygiene, also known as enemas, with warm water or lemon water, is not an optional choice, but a vital mandatory step in this process. It acts as a flood, washing away immediately the residues just peeled off, preventing them from returning to poison the bloodstream and helping you overcome healing crises in the safest and gentlest way. Parallel to the internal purification process, we also must not forget the invisible but paramount nutritional source from the outside, which is sunlight and fresh air. The skin and lungs are also massive detoxification and energy-charging channels that we often overlook. When you bathe in the early sunlight or breathe deeply the pure air, you are directly charging bioelectricity for the nervous system, promoting the oxidation process to burn waste and regenerate cells more powerfully than ever, turning the body into a perfect self-healing machine without the need for any crude intervention from the outside. When we have persistently walked through this challenging purification journey, when the last layers of waste are expelled from the body's temple, what awaits you at the end of the road is not merely the disappearance of pains or medical indicators returning to normal levels, but truly a miraculous revival of all life. Imagine the moment when the colon is clean, the bloodstream in your body is no longer poisoned daily by its own waste. It will return to being a pure source stream, carrying oxygen and nutrients to awaken every sleeping cell. Then, nature's great self-healing mechanism will work at full capacity to repair all damages. Gray skin will give way to the rosy hue of vitality. Stiff joints will regain their inherent flexibility, and you will feel like you've just shed a heavy old coat to become decades younger. But the miracle doesn't stop at flesh or sinews. It lies in the profound transformation in consciousness, because there is an invisible but strong connection between physical cleanliness and spiritual clarity. As ancient teachings and wisdom texts have reminded us, the body is the temple where the soul resides, and a clear, peaceful spirit cannot dwell in a temple filled with filth and rot. Therefore, when the gut is clean, the dark clouds of anxiety, depression, or negative thoughts will also automatically disperse, returning to you a calm, sharp mind and a sublimated soul ready to receive the noble vibrations of the universe. However, I want to tell you with all the sincerity of someone who has walked nearly the entire path of life that the journey back to nature is not a sprint, but a transition process requiring patience and deep listening. We spent decades damaging this body, so we also need to give it time to recover according to its inherent biological rhythm. Don't rush to impose too harsh changes, but start today with the smallest things, like changing breakfast, performing a colon cleanse, and observing positive change signals from within. Because only when you truly understand and comply with the immutable laws of creation will you hold the eternal key opening the door to absolute freedom from disease and suffering. The health journey we have just traveled is not merely treating surface symptoms, but a revolution of cleaning the body's house from the very roots. We have realized that aging, disease, and fatigue are actually the consequences of obstruction by the mass of mucus and toxins accumulated over decades of wrong eating. Instead of loading up on more medicine or energy, the ultimate solution lies in removing resistance to clear the flow of natural vitality. By skillfully using 3 groups of healing foods, fruit to dissolve, raw vegetables to sweep, and baked vegetables to balance, combined with the art of fasting and colon hygiene, we give the body the opportunity to repair the deepest damages itself. The final destination of this purification process is not only a painless, flexible body, but the revival of a peaceful mind and a clear, free spirit, bringing us back to a state of absolute harmony with nature. The deepest lesson here is that the human body possesses a great self-healing intelligence, but it only works effectively when we stop poisoning it and start supporting it with a correct understanding of nature's laws. Don't rush to change everything at once and get exhausted. Apply it immediately to practical life by replacing a heavy starch breakfast with a plate of fresh juicy fruit or a glass of vegetable juice. Listen to subtle feedback from within and persist with small steps every day to gradually lift the burden on the digestive system. That is the safest way to start the revival journey. After understanding the body's clogging mechanism, which eating habit do you feel you need to change most starting tomorrow to begin the journey of cleaning yourself? Please share your thoughts in the comments section below. If you wish to learn deeper about these self-healing methods, I have prepared a special gift, an ebook compiling the quintessence of health knowledge. Please fill in your information in the link in the description to receive it completely free. Also, if you find these shares valuable, please support me by subscribing to the channel, hitting the like button, and sharing this video with loved ones who need it. Your companionship is a great motivation for the channel to continue producing quality content serving the community.